Ready for a deep dive. Today we're going to be exploring one of the oldest stories ever told, the Epic of Gilgamesh. But we're not just going to, skim the
Oh,
surface.
no, not at all.
We're going deep, really trying to unearth the hidden meanings and messages using an analysis by Billy Carson as our guide.
It's amazing to think that a story from ancient Mesopotamia, written around 2100 BCE, still has so much to teach us today.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we're talking kings, quests for immortality, epic battles, but with Carson's perspective, we're going to be looking beyond the plot.
Right, we're going to try to unlock the spiritual and metaphysical depths of this epic tale.
Exactly. We'll be exploring those big universal questions that humans have been grappling with for centuries. What's our purpose? How do we face loss? Is there something beyond this physical existence?
Those are the really juicy questions, aren't they?
Okay, so just a really quick recap for anyone who needs it. The Epic of Gilgamesh centers around, well, Gilgamesh.
Of course.
He's a king, but not just any king. He's two-thirds god and one-third human.
Whoa, yeah, already we're seeing those themes of power, duality, the human experience, all coming into play.
And that duality really shines through in his personality. He's powerful, intelligent, but also known for his, let's say, arrogance.
Yes, it's like his divine nature is kind of clashing with his human flaws. And that's where Enkidu comes in.
Ah, Candy. He's wild, right? Created by the gods as a kind of counterpoint to Gilgamesh.
Yeah, almost a mirror image in some ways, even though they come from totally different worlds.
Yeah.
And they become the best of friends.
And together they have these crazy adventures, slaying monsters, taking on gods. It's truly epic.
It is. But then comes a turning point, a real tragedy that kind of kicks off Gilgamesh's inner journey.
You're talking about Enkidu's death.
Exactly. For the first time, Gilgamesh is forced to confront his own mortality.
He's terrified, right? That fear of death, of oblivion, it drives him to seek out an Abishtim.
Not Apishtim, the sole survivor of a great flood who holds the secret to eternal life. Sounds a bit familiar, doesn't it?
Definitely reminds me of Noah's Ark.
There are definitely some parallels there. But here's where Billy Carson's interpretation gets really interesting. He sees Gilgamesh's quest for immortality not as just this literal desire to live forever, but as a metaphor for something much deeper.
So you're saying it's not about finding some magical fountain of youth.
Right. It's about something more profound, more universal.
Okay, I'm intrigued. What do you think it is then?
Well, think about it. Most of us aren't walking around thinking we need a magic potion to live forever.
True.
But we all have our own immortality projects, in a sense, whether it's leaving a legacy, making a mark on the world, or just trying to squeeze every last drop out of life.
So what you're getting at is that Gilgamesh's journey isn't really about living forever in the literal sense.
Right. It's a symbolic representation of our own human search for meaning and transcendence.
Wow, that's a powerful way to look at it. So if Gilgamesh isn't literally looking to escape death, what is he truly seeking?
And that's the question we'll be diving into as we continue this deep dive. I think it's a question worth pondering. What are we all truly seeking when we chase those grand ambitions, when we try to outrun the inevitability of death? What drives you to leave your mark on the world?
Yeah, that's a really good question to think about. It really flips the script on how we view this ancient story, doesn't it?
It really does. And here's another mind-blowing point. As you know, Gilgamesh ultimately fails to achieve physical immortality. But what Carson suggests is that this failure is actually the point.
Wait, so you're saying that his failure is actually the key to understanding the story?
Exactly. Instead of viewing it as a defeat, we should be focusing on what Gilgamesh gains through the experience.
So what does he gain? What's the takeaway?
He learns a deeper truth about immortality. According to Carson, it's not about the physical body, it's about the soul, about a kind of spiritual enlightenment that transcends time and space.
So instead of fearing death, maybe the Epic of Gilgamesh is actually trying to tell us that there's a part of us that already exists outside of those limitations.
Precisely. It makes you wonder, what would change in our lives if we shifted our focus from desperately clinging to this physical life to cultivating that eternal part of ourselves? What would that look like?
Wow, yeah. That's a big question, one that I think we'll continue to explore as we go deeper into Gilgamesh's journey. But it definitely gives us a lot to think about, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And I'm excited to continue unpacking these ideas as we move forward. So we're back, diving deeper into the Epic of Gilgamesh, and really trying to understand what it has to say about well, us.
And last time we were talking about how Gilgamesh's failure to find physical immortality might be the biggest lesson of the whole story, right?
Exactly. It's like a nudge from the ancient past to look beyond the surface and really consider what it means to transcend those limitations. And part of that journey, it's about confronting the things we try to avoid.
Like grief and loss.
Exactly. I mean, it's a universal experience, something that touches every single one of us at some point, you know. And it's certainly a major theme in Gilgamesh's story.
Oh, yeah, totally. Think about the impact of Enkidu's death on Gilgamesh. I mean, it shatters his world, forces him to confront his own mortality.
Right. But it also sets him on this path of self-discovery, a search for meaning that wouldn't have happened otherwise.
It's almost like facing that kind of immense grief cracks him open, makes him vulnerable in a way that allows for that, like, profound transformation.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And, for me, I've had experiences with loss that, while incredibly painful, ultimately shifted my whole perspective,
Hmm.
led to growth.
Yeah.
It's not about, like, romanticizing suffering or anything,
No, no, no.
but it's about recognizing that those difficult, challenging experiences, those can be catalysts for growth, for facing those big existential questions we might otherwise avoid.
It's like going through fire and coming out the other side changed, like fundamentally. Have you ever felt that?
Totally, 100%. And it speaks to Carson's point about the transformative power of loss.
Yeah. And speaking of those big questions, let's talk about Anapishtim, right?
Oh yeah, the mystery man himself.
The sole survivor of a great flood who supposedly holds the key to eternal life. The one Gilgamesh is desperately searching for.
He's like this elusive sage, holding a secret everyone wants, but no one seems to really grasp.
Yeah.
It's a theme we see in so many stories, right?
Oh, yeah, totally. Like that wise old man or woman on the mountaintop, the keeper of forbidden knowledge.
Exactly. And Gilgamesh, remember, he goes to Anapishtim expecting a simple answer, right? Like a magic potion, a spell.
Right, a quick fix.
But what he gets is way more complex, more
So
challenging.
what does he get?
Instead of that quick fix, he gets a deeper understanding of consciousness,
Hmm.
of the interconnectedness of all things.
Whoa.
It's like Napishtim is saying, true immortality isn't about cheating death, but about recognizing the eternal aspect of our being.
It reminds me of that saying, the only constant is change. Everything in the physical world is in flux, but there's this underlying essence,
Yeah.
this spark of awareness that persists.
Exactly. And Carson connects this to the idea of the soul, the part of us that transcends those physical limitations.
It's a concept that's present in a lot of spiritual traditions, right?
Oh, yeah, totally. That notion that we're not just our bodies. There's something deeper, more enduring.
Like we're playing a part in this grand cosmic drama. Our individual roles might end, but the play goes on.
100%. And it makes you think, doesn't it?
Mhm.
If we're so focused on clinging to this physical existence, are we missing out? Are we missing out on opportunities for growth, connection, transcendence, things that are available right now?
It's almost like we're so busy trying to avoid death that we forget to actually live. And this kind of brings us to another point that Carson makes. He connects this whole quest for immortality to our modern fascination with technology, with transhumanism.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
Like we're trying to recreate that ancient quest with a different set of tools.
Right.
Instead of a magical herb, we've got anti-aging therapies, gene editing, uploading our consciousness into machines. It's wild.
It really is. But the question is, are we really addressing the root of the issue? Are we just trying to cheat death, or are we genuinely seeking like a deeper understanding of what it means to be human?
To exist, to connect to something larger, are we missing the forest for the trees?
Maybe. It's definitely something to think about.
And maybe, just maybe, that's the ultimate challenge the Epic of Gilgamesh presents to us.
What do you mean?
It's not about finding a way to live forever in these bodies. It's about cultivating that eternal part of ourselves, that spark of awareness that connects us to something so much greater.
Wow, I like that.
It's given me a lot to think about.
Me too. And I imagine our listeners are feeling the same way. But before we wrap up this deep dive into the Epic of Gilgamesh, I want to bring up one more point that Billy Carson makes. You know how he connects Gilgamesh's journey to our modern-day fascination with technology and transhumanism?
Oh, yeah.
It's like he's challenging us to really think about whether our pursuit of immortality through technology is actually aligned with our spiritual growth.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Like, are we just trying to cheat death, or are we really searching for something more?
Exactly. Are we looking for a deeper understanding of what it means to be human, to exist, to transcend these physical limitations? And I mean, if we're so focused on extending our lifespan or uploading our consciousness into machines, are we missing out on the beauty of the present moment, the chance to really live, connect with others, make a difference in the world?
That's a great point. It's like in our quest for immortality, we might be overlooking the things that actually make life worth living.
Right. And maybe, as Billy Carson suggests, true immortality isn't about avoiding death at all. Maybe it's about embracing the whole human experience,
Mhm.
even our mortality.
Hmm. That's definitely a thought-provoking idea, one that deserves more exploration. But for now, I think we've covered a lot of ground in our deep dive into the Epic of Gilgamesh.
We have, haven't we? And I hope our listeners have picked up some valuable insights from this ancient tale and how it still applies to our lives today.
I think it's time to wrap things up and reflect on everything we've learned. What really stood out for you? Anything surprising? It really is amazing, huh? How this conversation just keeps coming back to, like, what makes a life meaningful? Even knowing that we're, mortal.
It's like Gilgamesh's whole journey, all those struggles, that failure to find physical immortality, they're like a blueprint for
Right.
us, a reminder that maybe, just maybe, the search for eternal life, it isn't about like living longer. It's about finding that connection, that spark that's already beyond all the physical stuff.
And it sounds like Billy Carson thinks that connection, it's not something you have to go on some grand quest to find, right?
Right. It's like it's already there within us, just waiting to be, I don't know, cultivated or something.
Gilgamesh goes searching for Ignapishtim, that wise sage with all the secrets. But what if the real journey was like the stuff you went through along the way?
Yeah, exactly. All the challenges, the loss, the growth. Maybe those were the key all along.
It's like they say, the journey's the destination. Maybe it's not about reaching some final state of like perfect enlightenment. Maybe it's about the process, the ups and downs.
And maybe that's the real legacy anyone leaves behind. Not statues and stuff, but how we affect others, those ripples, the way we choose to live.
It makes you think about what you want to be remembered for.
Right. Is it money, power, fame, or is it, I don't know, kindness, compassion, how you made people feel?
That's what echoes through time. That stuff goes beyond our physical limits. And anyone can do it, no matter what their life is like. One thing that stuck with me about Carson's take is how he links Gilgamesh to our modern obsession with tech and, like, transhumanism.
Oh, yeah. It's like we're still trying to crack that immortality code, but now we're looking to science to do it.
Still wrestling with those same fears, death, wanting something more than our physical limits. But are we focusing on the right things?
Big question, right? Are we cheating death, or are we trying to understand what it really means to be human?
Maybe the real challenge is to find balance between
Right.
the tech and our spiritual growth, using the tools in a way that makes us more human, not less.
It's tricky, that's for sure. Forces us to ask the tough questions, like, what's a good life? What do we want to leave behind? How do we use our time to make things better?
And those are questions the Epic of Gilgamesh has been asking for, like, what, thousands of years? As we wrap up, I really hope you keep thinking about those questions in your own life, I mean.
Absolutely, because the answers aren't in some old book or some new gadget. They're in us. Those quiet moments when you think, the connections you make, the choices you make every day, that's where you figure out what it means to be human
To live with purpose.
and leave something behind that's bigger than just ourselves.
Thanks for coming along on this epic journey with us. I hope it sparks some new ideas for you.
Keep searching, keep exploring, and keep diving deep.
Hey everyone, ready for a deep